Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to the power of the prophetic broadcast. I'm your host, Dietrich Hurt, and today we're going to we're going to be in Genesis uh, chapter 38, and we're going to deal with the life of Tamar and we're going to call this the next effect. The next effect. And so we're just doing a test run. I got to still figure all this stuff out and this equipment. And we got to get the call-in number. Got to get my lighting better. But sometimes, and this all a part of being part of this message today. Sometimes you got to understand that if you don't work with what you have, when God begins to speak to you to do something, then you miss out on what He has for you to do. So, like I've been telling the people that I mentor, and those who view my broadcast regularly, you got to pay attention to what's being taught or what prophetic word is released. Going into a new year, because everything that is taught should line up to the prophetic word that's being released, because God has to keep you in certain guidelines. Y'all excuse me, I'm just doing something. He has to keep you in certain guidelines and certain lineups that you need to understand what has to happen in order to you receive the blessing or whatever God may have said for that year. So we are on all major online radio shows. Everybody except for Pandora, we still waiting on the green light to broadcast that, but we already have the platform for that. And what we've been doing as they give us the go ahead, we've been releasing some new podcasts as well as some old ones from when I was on radio a few years back. And we did that just to begin to formulate our presence in these new networks. So this will be our first time going mainstream like this with the Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Google Podcasts. And because I knew God is doing things different, but that's enough rambling, is what I call it, the next effect. So what I've been telling my people is that we are in a dispensation of time that God is allowing certain people a certain privilege because you've been overlooked. And especially if you understand how the prophetic operates, a lot of times I do things not for the sake of entertainment, not for the sake of embarrassing my family or friends, but for the sake of, I know how God teaches me to teach people. And if many of you who are mentoring, the reason I'm so hard on you, your spiritual eyes should be open that everything in your life speaks prophetic with you. Let's take, for instance, when you come online and you see me preaching or teaching or something, and you pay attention, you have to pay attention to not only my demeanor, not only what I say, you got to look for the key phrase in what I'm wearing. We understand Tamar to being the black sheep. So it's really don't be no coincidence when I have a hat on black sheep. So if you really got a relationship with God and you see that, your prophetic anointing, apostolic, whatever you have, it should kick up. Oh, this for me because he got on that black sheep hat. See, God speaks in in many ways. But if you don't have a teacher or a person of understanding that has a really connection with God, you won't know how he speaks. I was telling my friend up in Omaha how God said he's changed the way we interpret dreams, not for the sake of the people that are around us, is for the people that he's trying to use. And I was teaching them about what he showed me about. Now when you dream, you got to interpret your dream from a point of prophetic density. And I told them what God said that means. And then a lot of them begins to agree. Oh, that's why I've been dreaming like this. That's why, because when you connected to God and God does something different, and you notice something being different, but you don't know what it is, it should be somebody that you connected to that speaks this and show you what's coming into fruition, which leads us to the next effect. For the past 20 years, well, not for the past 20 years, we have a 20-year gap of time for those who are next. You know, in the rap community, that when they see somebody rapping and they like the beat, they say, "Oh, they up next." You know, back in the day, I don't gather with y'all church fables, but they used to call you, "Oh, you the next Juanita Bynum, you the next TD Jakes." But I'm just using the word next. I don't subscribe to that type of language, because it's defiling to you as an individual, because you don't need to be the next nobody. You just need to be who God called you to be. So I told them we had a 20-year gap, or now we had a 20-year gap of time that many of you God has set up to be next. And the reason I'm bringing this message is because some of you are connected to people who you think connected to God, but they're not speaking to your next level in God, which means you're in the wrong connection, or means your time is up, or means God wants you to hear something new to take you where you need to go. So in this 20 years, it started when Obama was up. I'm gonna speak to you prophetically for a minute, so because this is the Prophetic Podcast. So if your prophetic leaders, your teacher, your mentors, or whoever haven't taught you this, I'm teaching you this today. It started when Obama was in office. He said, and I think I gave a video on this back then. I'm not sure, but go fact check me, because if I did, it's going to be one on the videos. It started when Obama was in office. And I was teaching somebody the other day. I said, you got to look at everything that we as humans, or in some of our case, Black people, everything that we thought would never happen is happening. So you see a lot of firsts. You got the first Black president elected the first time for 2 terms. You got the first so-called Black female president. You got the first transgender. Everything is first. That's let you know that that when I spoke this word and everything that you're seeing is the first, that lets you know that if you understand this message by the time I get to it, you got to position yourself to being next. See, the key thing to being next is understanding next. Now, watch this. So Obama took up 8 years. Trump took up 4. That's 12 years that's gone. You got 8 years left to understand that you're next. So you wasted 4 years talking about Trump, what he doing. But Trump was the first so-called actor that was president. He was the first president that really wasn't presidential material. So watch this. A lot of people got caught up in that, and you miss your 4 years of positioning yourself to be next because you was into negativity about what you seen. And the sad thing about it, Trump did not change how none of y'all live. You still in the ghetto. You're still a whore. You're still an alcoholic. You're still struggling. You still live checked in. If you was in that position 8 years when Obama was in president, you was in that 4 years. Now that when Trump was president, Are you going to be in that position 4 years when Biden or whatever many years they give him when he leaves office? Because see, when you understand the next effect, you can't worry about the situation of the people around you, because if you got a relationship with God, your thought process, let me position myself just in case God want to take me to a low level. When this pandemic hit last year, and I hope my wife decided to come on and join sometime. Everybody else who did lawn care, they was quit. I said, God, watch this. Do I supposed to quit? He said, no, you next. Everybody else was quit. Brother Hubbard started picking up everything. They're calling the phone. You working? You shut down? Hey, if you do this, we'll give you a letter saying that you are essential part of our business and do that. Man, I was running from Jacksonville to Lake City to Panama City Beach to Albany, Georgia. I'm just making the money. See, watch this. When you next, you don't fit in with the crowd. Let me kick on in before that's a whole nother subject. Let's go on start. I hear you. Genesis chapter 38 says, and it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Edomite whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. And he took her and he went into her, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan, chapter 5, verse 5. And yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah, and he was at Chesbiz, and when she bare him. We're going to stop right there for our first revelation. We got to understand that God told them not to mix with the Canaanites. And for some reason, they mixed with the Canaanite. And when he mixed with the Canaanites, watch this, he produced offspring. What I'm trying to say, you got to understand that when you next, just because you have connected to these people and you have received some kind of teaching, some kind of revelation, some kind of position, did God really get you to connect to it? Because see, what we dealing in, God was sharing with me, we are not, I got the back patted, I heard the Holy Spirit. Some of you are not at your full throttle position in God. So watch this. When we understand, let's go back to verse 5. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, called his name Shelah, and he was at Chesbiz when she bare him. Watch this. Chesbiz means it's derived from the word that means disappointment, delusion, falling, or lying. See, a lot of y'all are wondering why God hasn't taken you to the next level, because you're delusional. You're delusional because you're lying about who you are in God, lying about what you're doing for God, and lying about the business that you have that said that you say is from God. So you're failing in your personal life, but because of the popularity of social media, you got it going on. See, if you're going to be next, you got to be honest with people and say, hey, man, I started this business and it ain't even going nowhere. Hey, I started this ministry and it ain't even doing nothing. See, we don't understand what God means when he said, don't despise your small beginnings. So we have a lot of people that are lying to put themselves in a position to a place that they're not even qualified to handle. So we understanding that that God told them don't mix with the Canaanites, and they went in anyway. The question remains: in order for you to move in this next level in God, you got to get a bird's eye view of the people that's around you. Is that pastor really speaking in your spirit? Are you really connected to their ministry? Is that really your prophetic voice? I was late with this word, but I did this word. It's a guy that's a part of the ministry. And God said his spirit heavy. And I didn't do it all day, but when I said, I forgot to tell him. So when I sent him a message, I said, hey, why is your spirit heavy? Man, you right on it. And he began to tell me a few things of why his spirit was heavy. And I gave him a few suggestions, and he came back with the answer. But watch this. The point I'm getting you to make, how can you be connected to somebody? How can somebody speak to your spirit when they don't even know what's going on in your spirit? And see, being a leader, if most of you don't understand, a lot of times a person can't speak to your spirit because you really don't, what's the word I'm looking for? You really don't acknowledge who they are in God. Do you know how many people, including my family, that I can really help? But you don't acknowledge who I am. You see me for who I am, but you can't acknowledge what I am. See, we got to understand when you're trying to learn God, what you see here, this flesh, that ain't what you look at. You look at my track record in the things of God. Don't look at my track record in the things of life. Because life is always going to be a test as we figure out our flesh from our spirit. We're going to have challenges. We're going to have corruption. We're going to fall short. But the main thing you got to understand is who you are in God. So we got 8 years in a 20-year space of time that you got to put yourself in a position, God, I want to be next. But if you still connected to people who's not fully invested into you, unless it's finances, they'll tell you everything about God when they want your money. But what when you ain't gotten in to get it? It goes on, and Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up a seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife that he spilled it on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother. Now we got to understand that based on that law back then, that if now we don't understand why God slew or whatever, it doesn't say it. But law says if the husband died and the wife then conceived, the brother should go into the wife and conceive a son, but the son wouldn't be the man's, it'll be the brother's son. All right. Now, so Onan, he went in and he hit the cooch. But I guess when he was about to ejaculate in the cooch, he pulled a penis out the cooch and it fell to the ground. If y'all don't understand that, then that's as easy as I can get. The vagina. They were having sexual intercourse. And I guess when he was getting ready to ejaculate, he removed the penis and the semen fell to the ground. Now, what God trying to teach y'all about being next, if you part of this next effect, a lot of people, hear me good, especially if you prophetic in the spirit. And I'm gonna use me for example. A lot of people, God has told to bless you. But because of selfishness, they withheld the blessing. Y'all get what I'm going with? That's why we in this particular scripture. So watch this. Onan used the law for his own personal gratification because they say Tamar was fine. I don't know what she looked like. Maybe we get to heaven, she up there, we'll see. Well, we probably won't even know what she fine because we be spirits, but whatever it is, whatever it is. So, like some of us men, we see a fine woman, we say, "Ooh, I wouldn't mind hearing that." So she might have been fine, and Odin said, "Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit that, but I ain't gonna leave with no seed because the seed ain't gonna be mine." See, you have connected with certain people, and God was to, and their job was to instill some kind of spiritual seed in you till you can grow, so you can birth forth what God has into you. But these people, and y'all know who I'm talking to when y'all hear this message, you know these people are holding back from you. If these people are holding back from you and spiritually that you know they're holding back from you, it's time for you to go somewhere else. I got a few people right now that I still have something to impart in them, but for some reason they decided to leave. Watch this. It's a certain way you leave a person's ministry. You ain't got to give them a long drawn out God said and God told me this. All you got to say, hey, I no longer desire to be a part of your ministry. All that other stuff y'all say. Why? Because the Bible teaches you, if you have an ought with somebody, you lay your gift down, go get it right, then pick it up. See, if you didn't leave people ministry right, that's why you're in the fight of your life trying to find out who you are in God, because a lot of y'all left the wrong way. A lot of y'all didn't sow into a personality. And I'm not talking about just money. Get that out your head. I'm talking about you who knew that you were connected to a person's ministry and how you spoke to help them, whether it be money, whether it be wisdom, whether it be revelation, whether it be given to them, you know, like your time, your talents, or support. So a lot of you gonna miss out on being next, because when God brought somebody up who was next, you didn't support the next in line because you didn't like them. Oh, the pastor died, so you left the church because you didn't like who they picked as the pastor. So a lot of you can't be a part of the next effect, and you wonder why you always a black sheep. It because you do not honor the word of God. That's what's wrong with Odin. Odin knew the law, but he said, I'm just gonna go in here and screw her and ain't gonna give nothing to her, which means his seed. Watch this. And this thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. We'll go back to that. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah, my son, be grown. For he said, least peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelled in the father's house. See, a lot of you are operating in slave ministry. That means because you don't honor the word of God as it relates to somebody else's life, because you didn't do what God told you to do concerning the ministry of somebody else's life, he cut your ministry off. But because you understand the rituals of ministry, you still around here preaching and teaching and think you got the glory of God. My. Your ministry is cut off. That's why some of you in these buildings, y'all paying over $1,000 a month for 7, 8, 9 years, and ain't nobody in there still but your family. You wasting money on an empty building that'll never be fulfilled because you didn't do right by somebody else's ministry. See, what we going into, and y'all got to find these kind of messages, it's deeper than this surface religion that we become accustomed, well, actually that y'all become accustomed to. Because when they come over here, Brother Hubbard don't play with them. I understand my call. I understand who I am. I understand my shortcoming. I understand my flaws. But watch this. You can never call me out when you don't know who you are. See, I hate a person who will send me a message or say something to me about ministry, and I'm looking at them. When the last time you been a leader? When the last time you paid for a soul? When the last time you get what I'm saying? Y'all stop taking advice from people who don't even know what ministry is. Watch this. And I'm not talking about paper ministry. I'm talking about the real spiritual ministry that drains you. I'm talking about the kind of ministry where they pick up the phone, Brother Hubbard, I'm masturbating. Why y'all be telling me that? But I got the answer for it. I just don't be liking to hear it. Brother Hubbard, my period irregular. I understand all that, but I don't like to hear it. It's something about it. I just don't like to hear about woman stuff for the most part, but I do it. Wife would tell me, when you go into the store, I need some pads. Ugh, I don't like going down in there picking them things up. I do it. Watch this. So a lot of you operate in a slain ministry. God had told you to start your ministry 10 years ago. You still around there talking about you waiting on confirmation. And in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife died, and Judah was comforted and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law going up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garment off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Selah was grown, and she was not given to him to wife. See, now we get into Tamar life, which is like a lot of y'all wife. God has promised y'all a lot of things. But watch this. Tamar sat back and watched Shelah grow up, because she knew Judah said, I'm going to give you him as a husband to have children. So she knew he was grown enough to have sex with her and have children. But he reneged on his promise. Watch this. So a lot of you been to these ministries and they claim what they was going to do for you. You grown in ministry, but they still haven't done what they said they was going to do. This is the next effect. So Tamar within herself, she said, okay, Judah lying to me. I want a child. Watch this. So what I'm telling some of y'all, you're going to have to be what you normally not to receive what God has for you. See, she got tired of being a widow, which means that thing probably was getting hot and wet, and she couldn't get what she wanted, and the man grown because she a widow, and she in her father's her husband's father's house. So watch this. So she said, okay, I gotta have my inheritance. So let me go dress like a whore to get my inheritance. See, we can't understand the mind of God without having a mind for the things of God. I said on social media the other day, I said a lot of people pray with a jealous mindset. What does that mean? That means somehow or other, you see somebody doing something else and you think you can do it. And you say, well, I'm going to do this. And then you'll sit back with, well, God bless my business. God didn't give you that business. You went and seen Brother Hubbard cut grass. Now you think you can cut grass. So you started a business. It ain't growing. So, but you on social media saying you're blessed and you ain't making no money. But let's look at Brother Hubbard. Brother Hubbard be working all year long. Because when God gave me the business, he gave me the understanding and the analogy of what business is. True enough, grass cutting can be a yearly event. But when you understand your business and you get the right customers, you cut grass all year long. It's all how you present yourself. We started clothing lines with no clothes. People out here saying they got publishing company with no publishing software. People claiming that. Don't think Brother Hubbard just started his podcast. I've been on the radio maybe ever since 2006. I just stopped. So don't get the idea of Brother Hubbard seeing something and he doing it. I'm saying this for a reason. It's just God said, hey, I didn't tell you to stop while you stopped. Because before I started back, he had me to go back and look at everything I did and how many people was responding and how many people was looking at and how much money I was bringing in to me. I got the same radio y'all hear with Steve Harvey doing all that crap. I got the same thing sitting right in front of me on my laptop that just been sitting there for about 9 years. All I got to do is press a button and throw up a website to put the thing on so people can hear. I've been doing this. So watch this. So when I'm saying I'm doing something, because people that look and wonder and sometimes wants to work with me, when they see I'm doing something, do you know they'll contact me? Hey, can you bring that over here? Don't think I just got on. Don't think I'm just getting on Spotify and all that just to brag. If I would have known that, I'd been on that years ago. No, it's because people watch what you do. And when they see something that's in your arena and they know the effectiveness that you have on people, or they like the way that you bring your revelation out, they come get you. In this next effect, if you humble yourself and stop lying about who you are and become who you are, people will come look for you to bless you. You waiting on a house? People pull your name off Facebook. Hey, God told me that you needed a house. I'm finna bless you with this 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. But watch this. Before God bless you with it, how did you live in a 1-bedroom, 1.5-bath house? Is it clean? Brother Hubbard walls ain't dirty. I can't turn the thing. My blinds ain't tore up. Ain't no roaches crawling around here. See, in order to get to the next level, you got to bring it up a level. Stop trying to find something cheap and call yourself professional. Because a lot of things I know how to do. But because when I come on my way, I know how to pick up the phone and call my buddy. Hey, how much you charge me to do this? Y'all heard what I said. How much you charge me to do this? Stop calling people looking for favors just because they friends. Oh, you gonna pay me this year? Ain't no discounts. Cause watch this. God showed me something. A couple of years ago when I started cutting grass, you say, okay, I'm running a special. He said, do you see Mercedes-Benz, not Mercedes-Benz, do you see Maybach and all the other running special? I said, no. He said, when you believe what you have is a top-notch product, you just set your price. The ones that can afford you gonna come. Then he brought me back when I was staying in Birmingham. I used to go to this place that sell lawn equipment when I was cutting down there. When I went in there, he didn't have no prices on nothing. Because you had to understand that when you stepped in that lawn store, whatever the price was, you can afford it. You just didn't go in there and window shop. So whatever the man said the price is, you paid for it. And when I went in there and I wanted to buy something, how much is here? $749, okay. See, a lot of y'all lowering the bar to be included in the bar. But if you know your bar up here, this ain't whatever they call it, where they hit the bar and the lower you get, the better you get. No, this ain't that. If your ministry up here, don't bring it down here because nobody don't understand. Do you know how many emails and inboxes and text messages I get? Ooh, why you talk to God people like that? Why you do this? Why you do that? And then if I can, I'm looking on their Facebook page or looking on what they doing. How can you listen here? You can't give me no advice if you've never been in this position. Or you can give me advice about my position, but don't give me advice in the position. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot because she had covered her face. See, a lot of you has covered up who you are. Why? Because you understand submission. But submission to a leader don't mean dumbing yourself down. It said keep your spirituality to the level God gave you till he give you more. I remember going to this church in Birmingham, and when God started dealing with me and I began to write all these kind of revelations and stuff, one of the deacons came to me one time. Yeah, I see God moving in you, but hey, you need to stop doing that and because you might make the pastor look bad. I looked at that nigga. I said, I done wasted 30-something years not knowing who God is in my life. And when God want to use me, he bring me out the level that I'm on. And you want me to stop just because the pastor is feeling inferior? Well, tell him to sit his down. I wouldn't fit to dumb myself down because the pastor is feeling. And see, a lot of y'all in ministry that you can't dress better than the pastor and the first lady. You can't preach better than them. That's a spirit of inferiority. That lets you know that's not a leader. Because a leader always wants the best for you. I got people that I'm teaching now that I said, boy, y'all gonna be bad when you get ready. I already told them they think I'm something. I said, wait till you see yourself. And sometimes they'll call me with a word or get on me. And I said, yeah, you're right. A leader got to be able to take criticism as well as give it. And you don't necessarily, and see, a lot of y'all only take it from other leaders that you can seem on the same level you are, or above the level you are. No. If you in my circle and you growing, I listen to you because we connected. If you in my circle, but I know you don't honor who I am, spirit, I ain't gonna say nothing to you because you won't even receive it. No casting pearls of swine. And he turned by her way and said, "Go to, I pray thee, let me come into thee." For he knew that she was that, for he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, "What wilt thou give me that thou mayest come into me?" And he said, "I will send thee a kid from the flock." And she said, "Will thou give me a pledge till thou send it?" And he said, "What pledge shall I give thee?" And she said, "Thy signet and thy bracelet, and thy staff that is in thy hand." And he gave it to her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away and laid by the veil from her, and put on the garments of widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend, the Amdalite, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found it not. See, watch this. I guess back then, it is what it is now. And that's why I guess a lot of them like to take them back shots. You'll screw a woman, but don't even know what her face look like. So old Judah was horny. So Judah was begging for some of that cooch. And he was going to give her a sheep for a little of that cooch. But Tamar understood something. She said, "This family has lied to me before. Well, let me give me something to hold on to till you bring it." Because see, a lot of leaders that lie to y'all. But in order for you to stay under their ministry in this season, they have to give you something that's of tangible value. I was talking to a friend the other day that's in ministry, and she thinking about going back to the ministry, and she's been left. I said, if you're going to be a part of that ministry, that leader has to solidify your position. Not only solidify your position, you need to know what's the definition of the position that she's trying to solidify you in. Because see, a lot of people are giving you positions in their church, but you don't understand the job description. Because they want to keep you there for their own selfish gain. They want to keep you there for their own selfish reason. But when we talk about this next effect and God moving you to the front, you won't have to forget about who you connected to, and you got to be connected through. Which means God is building a network of people who really understand the move he's trying to bring the church in this season, and is predicated on empowering the people to operate in the power that they have. See, it's a shame to say this your pastor or this my church, and you never been in a pastor office, and he never said, "Hey, this your gift. This how I'm gonna work you through it. This your calling. This what I'm begin to let you do. This your anointing. This I'm gonna teach you how to operate that anointing." Because how many of you are sitting under leaders that don't even know how to lead? And not do they don't know how to lead, they don't even know what's in you. Which means you're a prophet, and all you know how to do is prophesy. If all you know how to do to prophesy, if you're a prophet, you should know prophecy is the lowest form, or is the lowest caliber of prophetic anointing. Why is that? Because even the Bible teaches everybody can prophesy. All prophecy it takes is having a relationship with God. He speaks to you. So if all you got is a prophetic word, you don't hold that office of the prophet. You got to see the ins and out of these demonic entities, these demonic structures, and you got to have the ability to tear it down. Listen here. If you want to be next in this season, you will have to leave behind things that you know are not contrary to the Spirit of God. No longer can you sit and say, I like my church home, but you ain't got no power when you leave church. That's my pastor, but your pastor never called on you to see how you are. Then now if he called you, just understand how much you give to the ministry. Because see, a lot of people are only gonna call those people who give it. If you ain't got anything to give and they don't want to hear, you ain't got anything to give, I don't want to hear from you. God is calling us higher in this season. And the only way that you can get higher is to get lower. If you know, see, watch this. If you know God is calling you to next, you can feel you can actually feel in your spirit when you through at a level in God, because you'll feel that need to do more. But you know what's holding you back? The things he told you to do in the past that you did not do. If he told you to go sit up under somebody's ministry, just go sit up under their ministry. If he told you to sow money in the people, just sow money in the people. If he told you to stay there for 2 months, don't fall in love with the children in church. Don't fall in love with the choir. Sit there for 2 months and go on. See, this next level in God, to find this elevation, is going to take strict obedience. Listen here. Y'all be blessed. Have a good day.